Worrying is like paying interest on a debt you may never owe. Have you ever felt like the weight of your worries is quietly draining the peace from your life? That relentless feeling when your mind races with thoughts of things that might never come to pass, and you start to lose the joy of the present moment? What if I told you that this constant worrying isn't just robbing you of your current peace, but also keeping you from being truly prepared for the future? It's something we all do, isn't it? Worrying about the what-ifs, stressing over things we can't control. But in the process, we let go of the very moments that matter most, the moments that we could be living in, right here and now. Why do we do this to ourselves? And more importantly, how can we break this cycle and reclaim our peace? Take a moment and reflect. What is one thing you've been worrying about lately that hasn't even happened yet? It might help to share it in the comments below. Let's take this journey of reflection together and see if we can find a way to let go of some of that mental clutter. What do you think? Part 1. The illusion of worry. Worry often masquerades as concern, making us feel like we're doing something productive when, in fact, all we're doing is spinning our wheels. We convince ourselves that if we just think about the problem long enough, we'll somehow come up with a solution. It feels like action after all. Thinking through every possible scenario seems like we're preparing for the worst. But the truth is that worry doesn't solve anything. It doesn't bring us closer to the resolution we crave. Instead, it clouds our clarity and drains our energy, making everything seem heavier and more complicated than it really is. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a loop of overthinking, convinced that worrying about tomorrow's uncertainties is somehow helping you prepare? In those moments, you might feel like you're doing something necessary, but what you're really doing is holding on to something that doesn't serve you. Worry about the future is often just a reflection of our fear and desire for control. But the paradox is, the more we cling to that control, the more we distance ourselves from peace. It's like holding on to sand in your hand. The harder you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. Let's take a simple example: the sunrise. Imagine standing outside on a peaceful morning, watching the sun slowly rise over the horizon. The colors change, the light stretches across the sky, and for a brief moment, everything feels in sync. But then, your mind starts wandering. What if I don't finish everything I need to do today? What if something goes wrong? Before you know it, the peace you felt has been replaced by a cloud of worry, and the beautiful sunrise you were meant to enjoy becomes just a backdrop for your swirling thoughts. It's a subtle but powerful reminder of how easily worry can steal the present from us. The sunrise, like all the moments in our lives, is fleeting if we spend it. Trapped in our minds, we miss the beauty right in front of us. This is the illusion of worry. It tricks us into believing that it's helping us prepare or plan for the future, when, in reality, it's only robbing us of the joy we could experience in the present. Worrying about tomorrow or replaying past mistakes in our minds keeps us stuck. It keeps us from moving forward, from fully embracing the present moment. You may have noticed this tension in your own life, constantly planning for what's ahead, juggling tasks and concerns, but in the process, losing sight of today. There's a tendency to think that the more we worry, the more in control we become. But the more we focus on future problems, the less we're able to truly be present. We begin to live for tomorrow, not today. But if we're constantly focused on tomorrow, how can we truly live today? When was the last time you paused to simply breathe in the moment, free of worry? Think about this. What would happen if, instead of thinking about all the things that could go wrong tomorrow, you took a moment to acknowledge that today is enough? You're doing your best right now. In this moment, that's enough. Instead of projecting yourself into an uncertain future, Give yourself permission to let go of the constant need to prepare for what's ahead. The future will unfold, as it always does, and you can trust that you'll be ready for it when it comes. Right now, there's power in just being. Just breathe and let the weight of tomorrow slip away. This simple shift in perspective can bring a sense of lightness that we often overlook in the rush of life. Sometimes, it's helpful to pause and check in with ourselves. What's one thing you could do today, right now, that would help you let go of just a little bit of that mental clutter? It doesn't have to be big, just a small step toward living fully in the present. It could be something as simple as stepping outside, taking a deep breath, and noticing something around you, something beautiful that's happening in the present moment, not the future. Worrying about tomorrow doesn't prepare us for it. Instead, it steals the joy of today. The key is not in controlling what's coming, but in allowing ourselves to live fully in the now. It's in this space of acceptance that we find the freedom we've been looking for. So, the next time you catch yourself getting lost in future worries, try to gently bring your focus back to the present moment. Take a breath, look around, and just be. Part 2. The path to freedom. Letting go of what we cannot control. Our attachment to control, whether it's over the past or the future, often keeps us trapped in cycles of anxiety and stress. It's like holding a handful of sand. The harder we try to grip it, the faster it slips away. We mistakenly believe that by clinging to our worries and trying to control what we can't, we're preparing ourselves for what lies ahead. But in doing so, we lose the very essence of freedom and peace. This constant need to manage the unknown robs us of the ability to enjoy the present moment, where true peace can be found. Take a moment to reflect on this. How often do we try to control outcomes, especially those beyond our influence? We carry the weight of tomorrow on our shoulders, burdened by thoughts of what if, or how will this work out? We tell ourselves that worrying will somehow give us a head start, that if we can just predict what's coming, we'll be prepared when it arrives. But all this really does is make the present feel heavier. It's as though we're carrying a load that isn't meant for today, losing sight of the now because we're too busy trying to figure out a future that hasn't even come to pass. Consider the way a tree stands in a field, unbothered by the weather. It doesn't spend its time worrying about the storms that might come. It simply grows, anchored in the present moment. Just like the tree, we are part of the natural flow of life. The more we fight to control outcomes, whether it's worrying about what could happen tomorrow or holding on to past mistakes, the less we allow ourselves to grow freely in the moment. When we let go of that need for control, we create space for peace to settle in. There's an incredible sense of freedom that comes with accepting life's uncertainties. It's not about resigning to chaos or abandoning our sense of responsibility, but rather about releasing the unnecessary grip that worry holds over us. It's the difference between being a passenger in our own lives and trying to control every twist and turn. When we finally let go, we give ourselves permission to live without the constant weight of expectation. That's where the freedom lies. In the surrender to life's flow, in letting things unfold as they are meant to. Think about it this way. When we worry, we are essentially draining our energy on things that haven't happened yet, using up precious moments that could be spent living fully. There's a subtle power in simply allowing ourselves to be. A lot of times, the solution to our anxiety is not in doing more, but in doing less. It's in choosing to let go of the mental chatter and focus on what's right in front of us. When you feel the urge to spiral into worry, try this stop and look around. Take a deep breath. Notice the sounds around you, the feel of the air on your skin, the movement of life happening all around you. In that moment, you realize that worrying doesn't change anything. What's happening now is enough. Life unfolds on its own time, and we can trust in that process. Just like the river that flows without trying to control its path, we too can move through life with grace and ease when we release our need for control. The next time you catch yourself getting lost in the what-ifs of tomorrow, take a step back. Rather than trying to predict every outcome, allow yourself to experience the beauty of the present moment, knowing that tomorrow will unfold as it's meant to, just as today has. By letting go of control, you're not giving up. You're actually freeing yourself to experience life as it comes, without unnecessary resistance. It doesn't have to be big, just a small step toward living fully in the present. It could be something as simple as stepping outside, taking a deep breath, and noticing something around you, something beautiful that's happening in the present moment, not the future. Worrying about tomorrow doesn't prepare us for it. Instead, it steals the joy of today. The key is not in controlling what's coming, but in allowing ourselves to live fully in the now. It's in this space of acceptance that we find the freedom we've been looking for. So, the next time you catch yourself getting lost in future worries, try to gently bring your focus back to the present moment. Take a breath, look around, and just be. Part 3. Embracing the present moment. Living fully in the moment isn't just a concept found in Buddhist teachings. It's a universal truth, available to everyone. It's not confined to meditation or deep spiritual practice, though those are great ways to tap into it. The ability to embrace the present is a gift that we all have access to, no matter where we are or what we're doing. And yet, how often do we overlook this simple but profound truth? Consider, for a moment, the things we overlook on a daily basis. The warmth of your morning coffee as you sip it slowly, the quiet rustle of leaves in the wind, or the soft patter of rain on your window pane. These things are small, fleeting, and easily ignored, especially when we're caught up in the swirl of daily worries. But if we stop for just a second, we might notice that there's something deeply grounding and peaceful about these simple moments. These are the kinds of experiences that, when fully embraced, offer us a sense of calm that no amount of future planning or overthinking can provide. The act of worrying often pulls us out of the present moment and drags us into a future that hasn't happened yet. We get lost in what might be, what could go wrong, or how things might turn out. And in doing so, we miss the richness of the here and now. It's like standing in a beautiful forest, so fixated on the road ahead that we don't take the time to notice the flowers blooming at our feet or the soft light filtering through the trees. Worrying about the future can feel like being on autopilot, where we're just going through the motions, disconnected from the world around us. But imagine what could change in your life if you made a conscious decision to embrace the present. Picture yourself sitting by a window, watching the rain fall, the sound soothing, the rhythm calming. In that moment, everything is exactly as it should be. There's nothing to worry about, nowhere to rush off to. And in that brief instance, you experience peace. It's not a distant or unattainable feeling, but something that's always right here, within reach. And it doesn't take long. Just a moment of truly feeling the present is enough to bring a sense of peace into your day. Perhaps you've felt this before when you finally stopped obsessing over every little detail, when you let go of the need to control every outcome. Maybe it was a moment of quiet, when the weight of your concerns seemed to lift, even just for a second. That moment of relief, when you allowed yourself to simply be, is a reminder that peace is not something we need to search for or chase. It's already here, in the little things we take for granted. Letting go of worry and embracing the present moment might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The act of being in the now isn't about denying that life requires planning or that challenges exist. It's about giving yourself the permission to step back from the constant stream of thoughts about what's next, and instead, Focus on what's here, right in front of you. In doing so, you'll notice that life feels fuller, richer, and far less overwhelming. It's also about cultivating a kind of awareness, one that shifts your focus from the external noise to the small, beautiful details that are always around us. Have you ever noticed how the world feels when you stop to really see it? You might be surprised by the calm that follows. So, the next time you find yourself caught in a web of worries, ask yourself, what's happening right now? Feel the air around you. Hear the sounds you've been tuning out. Taste your food. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, or simply pause and listen to your breath. These small moments of presence, when you let go of the mental clutter, can be enough to create a shift, a reminder that everything is exactly as it should be, at least for this moment. Sometimes, it's the smallest shift that makes the biggest difference. By choosing to live in the present, we open the door to peace, not by changing the world around us, but by changing how we experience it. Conclusion. In the end, worrying about tomorrow doesn't make us prepared, it just steals today's peace. We are all familiar with the cycle of anxious thoughts, the endless what-ifs, and the desire to control what's out of our hands. But the true path forward is not through worry, it's through acceptance and presence. As we learn to quiet our minds and embrace the present, we create space for joy, clarity, and the calm knowing that everything will unfold as it should. I invite you to let go, even if just for today. Release the burden of tomorrow and be fully present. If this resonates with you, let's continue this journey together. What's one thing you can do today to free yourself from worry? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear how you're embracing the present.